Donation Behavior in Person Advocacy Nonprofit Organizations by Angel Brecht and Morgan Sauer. The nonprofit industry is composed of various types of organizations. Those types include person advocacy, animal, health services, and education, just to name a few. We are focusing on person advocacy nonprofits. Industry stability. The stability of the nonprofit industry relies on economic growth patterns, demand for clients, willingness of donors, and resource availability. For person advocacy nonprofits specifically, there are a total of 212,399 person advocacy organizations within the U.S. This makes up 48.4% of the world's number of person advocacy organizations. Our mission is to provide a targeted consumer profile and 7 recommendations to person advocacy nonprofit charities who are interested in targeting consumers to influence and increase potential donations to their specific organization. Through conducting in-depth research on consumer behavior in the nonprofit sector, we have developed 3 SMART objectives that our clients should consider. The first objective is to acquire 20,000 new donors through in-person efforts with the average donation being $10. The second objective is to retain 25% of those new donors to increase our brand loyal donors. The third objective is to increase online engagement by 30%. We consider engagement to include donations, shares, likes, and general discussions about our organizations on various social media platforms. The goal is to complete these 3 objectives within 1 year. We conducted research on nonprofit donation behavior with a focus on the nonprofit organizations, Meals on Wheels, and the International Justice Mission. Through this research and with the consideration of the consumption process, value influence, internal influence, external influence, and a summary of implications, we have developed a targeted consumer profile for our clients, which you can see in the image on the right. In the next few slides, we will detail how each of these influential components played a role in the development of our targeted consumer profile. The consumption process is composed of wants, need recognition, information search, the weighing of costs, benefits of exchange, and the evaluation of alternatives. Each consumption component plays a key role in influencing donor behavior. These concepts are best understood when considering Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Through our research, we discovered that donors in the person advocacy sector tend to focus on needs for esteem and love and belonging, need recognition, and wants. As I said, based on our research, we discovered that many donors seek to satisfy their need for esteem and love and belonging. Therefore, our targeted consumer is strongly influenced by this need. When consumers with this need experience isolation and rejection, they tend to respond with helping behavior because prosocial acts rebuild and strengthen personal appeal. This research supports the idea that consumers who value self-esteem and belonging may turn to charitable giving in order to satisfy their needs. This is the type of consumer we suggest our clients target. The next influence is information search. Information search is composed of 2 types of searches, internal and external. An internal search involves evaluating personal experiences and personal knowledge on the cause. For example, charities that support a cause like person advocacy will appeal greater to those who are partial to the cause. In other words, when a consumer conducts an internal search and is found to be partial to a particular cause, they will be more likely to associate and participate in that cause. For this reason, our targeted consumer will have some personal connection to person advocacy causes. This is exhibited in the bio portion of our targeted consumer profile, which we will review after this slide. External searches include referencing accrediting organizations, media, and word-of-mouth recommendations to make informed donation decisions. Our targeted consumer utilizes platforms like Facebook, Reddit, family, friends, and church to make donation decisions. The next influence is evaluation of alternatives. To make irrational decisions, consumers must evaluate alternative organizations. In the evaluation process, individuals evaluate each charity's values and compare it to their own. Some charity values that consumers prioritize include changing society for the better, helping people become self-sufficient, and becoming innovative and creative. Our targeted consumer shares these types of values, so our consumer will more likely connect with charities that possess these same values. This is represented in the value section of our targeted consumer profile. The last is the cost and benefit of exchange. The cost of donation typically involves time and money. The benefit of the exchange depends on the consumer's values and the need they are searching to satisfy. There are 2 types. Hedonic-based benefits of these costs range from social status enrichment, skill development, and emotional reward. Utilitarian-based benefits include lowering tax bills, reducing taxable estate, and helping avoid capital gains taxes. Consumers who are searching to satisfy the need for belonging will make donation decisions that are influenced by their reference group. Because our targeted consumer is fueled by the need for sense of belonging and esteem, they will interpret the benefit of pleasing others higher than the utilitarian value of tax reductions. This is our targeted consumer profile. Here you can see where we applied each of these components: need and want recognition, information search, and evaluation of alternatives. Value influences. How does hedonic-based values influence donor behavior? As I previously said, there are two types of values, hedonic and utilitarian. Both types of values can be expressed in charitable giving, but it commonly targets hedonic value. Our target consumer is highly influenced by hedonic-based marketing efforts. Hedonic value is attributed to emotional, symbolic, and subjective interpretation. For monetary donations, those who possess hedonic-based values and donate to person advocacy charities are more likely to see themselves as compassionate, which benefits the consumer's sense of self. In volunteering, consumers who value hedonic-based efforts seek to comply with what is expected of them by others in order to be liked and to receive praise. This shows the need for love and belonging. Overall, this means our targeted consumer will be more inclined to refer to their reference groups in making charitable decisions. This hedonic-based value is reflected under the Values and Motivations section of our targeted consumer profile. Internal influences that affect the way consumers display donation behavior includes the process of learning, perception, attitudes, personality, lifestyle, and motivations. Learning and perception. Consumers have various perceptions of donating. Factors that influence the perception continually changes based on the consumer's personal experiences. But through our research, we discovered that the more relevant a charity's purpose is to the consumer's beliefs and values, the more they will successfully organize new stimuli in relation to past experiences to create something familiar. This is a part of the learning process. Based on this, we recommend that our client targets consumers who already have a personal connection to person advocacy-based charities. This makes donation decisions easier for the consumer, given they already have learned what it is to experience topics around person advocacy. Personality. Our research shows that consumers donate to charities that have similar characteristics to the ones that they possess. This means that consumers seek and/or prefer charities that reflect their own personality traits, which reflects the importance of self-image. Therefore, our targeted consumer will possess the compassion, ethical, dedication, generosity, trust, and empathy personality traits. Attitudes. Our research shows that attitudes towards donating are formed when the perceived benefit is higher. This benefit is based on the individual preferences and needs. So because our targeted consumer values esteem, love and belonging, and the perception of others, they will be more likely to form their attitude around their reference group's attitudes. Lifestyle. Based on our research, welfare charity donor demographics are married consumers between 35 and 54 years old and who have white-collar jobs. This is reflected in our age, work, and family section of our consumer profile. Lastly, because our target consumer is heavily influenced by hedonic-based values and efforts, they will also have hedonic-based motivations. Specifically, they are motivated by wanting to achieve their ideal self and wanting outsiders to have a positive perception of them. If they want to perceive themselves as good, they could be swayed to donate to person advocacy charities because donating is perceived as a good deed. Based on our research, the consumer may need external acknowledgement to feel they have achieved their personal and internal need to be perceived as a good person. This is a display of public self-consciousness, self-monitoring, and awareness of self-esteem. Here you can see our targeted consumer profile again, and you can see where each of these components are reflected. Personality traits, motivation and perception, attitudes, lifestyle and demographics, and personality. The four major external influences that our targeted consumer focuses on is family, friends, online environments, and time. All of these reference groups strongly influence our targeted consumer because they seek to do what is expected by their reference groups in order to satisfy their need for belonging. Based on our research, family plays a significant role in developing our perception of donation behavior. Specifically, parents that expose their young children to volunteering early on promote pro-social behavior, therefore influencing behaviors like volunteering and donating in the child's adulthood. Our target consumer should be exposed to donor behavior early in life. Friends are another reference group that our target consumer relies on. Research on the social network effect shows that the probability of a consumer donating because one of their friends donated was significantly higher compared to seeing someone they did not know donate. This supports the need for love and belonging. Donation behavior in online environments is a newer concept that has come about in the last few decades. In our research, we discovered that websites that are visually appealing, have easy navigation, and are not text-heavy are more persuasive in getting the consumer to donate. Lastly, donation behavior in physical spaces involves the influence of time. Our research showed that the individuals faced donation deadlines donated less and were less likely to donate because they were reminded, whereas donation requests without deadlines were likely forgotten and not intentionally declined. This data shows that although more individuals will donate when faced with time constraints, they will also have less time to process the information. Therefore, they are more likely to donate less.
We have 3 main points to make for our summary of implications. First, the level of satisfaction gained in donation behavior determines the consumer's loyalty level to the charity. Second, if belonging is the need to be satisfied, then people who interact positively with charities on social media will continue to return because they have been positively reinforced with the experience. Third, most donors receive the sense of fulfillment when they are assured that their giving is making an impact to bring about change for a cause. Each of these implications played a huge role in the development of our targeted consumer profile. Through this immense research, we have developed 7 recommendations to assist our clients who are entering into the person advocacy sector of the nonprofit industry. These recommendations are accompanied by our targeted consumer profile. Our first recommendation is to make sure the nonprofit's website is aesthetically pleasing, with consistent color schemes, image filters, and fonts. This will help with business branding so that the consumers can recognize the nonprofit easily. It is researched that hedonic donors process information in a positive way and are more willing to give when the website design includes abundant information and is aesthetically pleasing. Also, not only do nonprofits' websites play a significant role in attracting consumers to donate, but the users also prefer to enter an attractive web environment. The color chart to the right signifies different meanings that colors convey. It is important to pick color schemes that match the business's goals and personality. Our second recommendation is to utilize anonymous donor buttons on all donation platforms. The charity's goal should be to gain as many anonymous donors because they desire nothing in return for their generosity. In fact, even fellow donors have attitudes toward peer donors who donate anonymously. They are perceived and judged as more generous. To implement this recommendation, the business can input a checkbox or button that signifies an anonymous donation will be received. Our next recommendation is to implement face reading tools onto nonprofits' websites. Facial reading tools are an innovative technology that even nonprofit businesses can use. A study used face reading software to determine the emotions donors felt when donating. The results state, those in a more positive overall emotional state prior to the donation decision tend to donate more. If businesses implement these tools, they can then compile data on site visitors and on how consumers respond to advertisements, images, information, and then use their knowledge of feelings to manipulate the consumers into donating. Our fourth recommendation is to ask for donations in physical spaces, which allows businesses to meet consumers face-to-face. While online spaces are convenient and easy for consumers, nonprofits also have advantages in public social spaces. It is important to be aware of the spaces nonprofits solicit in. Research has been conducted that street passerbyers may be too busy to stop and donate, but those at a bus stop or in line for a sporting event are not busy. It is also important to train solicitors to show interest in the person's feelings and show acknowledgement so that the person is more likely to donate. These strategies are used together to maximize monetary amounts collected. Our next recommendation is to develop and market hedonic-based advertisements. This is important because, as discussed earlier, a majority of person advocacy donors value hedonic methods. Businesses should include visual stimuli that target potential donors with exposure to guilt-appealing media because it provokes the feeling of empathy. These advertisements can also trigger episodic memory. Episodic memory consists of memories that relate to events that are personally relevant with the content the consumer is exposed to. This can also influence consumers without a personal connection established because consumers can experience episodic memory that was formed indirectly. These ads should include empathy, evoking images like suffering, stories of hardship, and showing connection of those sufferers with family units. As seen in the image, victims that are portrayed saddened, lonely, and hopeless will appeal to that potential donor. Moving on to our sixth recommendation, we suggest that our client point to specific cases that have been fulfilled. In a study by Peter Warren and Ian Walker, they found that pointing to a specific case fulfills the consumer's need extent. Also, when the charity portrays the short-term effects rather than the long-term effects, it fulfills the need persistence of the consumer. Businesses should highlight specific cases on victims the nonprofit help on their website and marketing. This will be more attractive to consumers and may result in higher donations. Our final recommendation is to develop marketing campaigns that connect your consumers' personalities to your brand's personality. It is researched that consumers donate to charities that have similar characteristics to the ones they possess. A campaign like this can consist of several videos that display the brand's personality by interviewing several volunteers who can exhibit each trait. By doing this, consumers will be repeatedly exposed to the material, therefore increasing the potential for the consumer to connect with and relate to the individual shown. This is appealing to consumers who value their self-image and wish to seek self-actualization because it can help reassure a positive self-perception, therefore increasing the likelihood of a donation. This presentation thoroughly discussed our research findings and explained how we implemented our research to produce a targeted consumer profile and 7 recommendations, specifically to clients who are entering into the person advocacy sector of the nonprofit industry. Thank you all for listening.